Hello and welcome to Books of Blood, aka Cinema of Blood. My name is John and welcome to 50 Years of Horror Fiction. I have got 5 movies today from the year 1981. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get underway. So, the thing about this is I have actually seen all of the movies on this list, so I have a little bit better knowledge of them than when I don't actually see the movie that I talk about. Alright, so I got 2 werewolf movies on this film, 2 of them that came out in the same year. Alright, so the first one we're going to talk about is An American Werewolf in London. Alright, this is written and directed by John Landis. It stars David Naughton, Jenny Agutter, and Joe Belcher. Okay? Alright, so An American Werewolf in London is about these 2 guys, David and Jack. David, of course, is played by, David Naughton, and Jack is played by Griffin Dunne. And I should have included his name in the credits because he has a pretty pivotal role in this movie. Alright, so they are traveling in the UK. I believe it is in England, of course, because it says An American Werewolf in London, so where else would they be? They are traveling, and one night as they are traveling across the moors, as they were kind of told not to do, they are attacked by a werewolf. Believe it or not, that's why it is called American Werewolf in London. Anyway, the werewolf attacks, it kills Jack, attacks David, leaves him for dead. He wakes up in a hospital, everything seems fine, gives an account to the police, hey, we're attacked by a wolf, all that, blah, blah, blah. And they, of course, let him know that Jack is dead. Anyway, so he goes home to live with the nurse that is taking care of him, played by Jenny Agutter. There's a pretty hot and steamy shower scene with, I believe, the music to Van Morrison's Moon Dance playing over on the soundtrack. The soundtrack is awesome because pretty much I believe every single song has the word moon in it. I love that. All right. So everything seems perfectly fine till one night David is like, I'm not hungry, I'm not hungry, I'm not hungry, and all of a sudden the moon hits and he's like, ah, he's like in a pain, and he's on the living room floor and he's like changing. He becomes this werewolf. And he goes out and he kills people, and that's pretty much the premise. Or, of course, he has to be stopped. I mean, we got a werewolf in London. I mean, we can't have that. I mean, that would just upset everything, all right? It is a horror comedy, all right? Pretty much a horror comedy. There's some pretty hilarious bits, especially with Griffin Dunne's character, Jack, because he keeps returning to let David know that he must kill himself because he is the last of the bloodline, and if he cuts off the bloodline, the curse ends. And every time he reappears, he is just more gross than before because he is decomposing, and it's really pretty hilarious. And then there is a very hilarious scene in a movie theater where David encounters all the people that he killed on his rampage, so to speak, including a very polite British couple. I think it's hilarious, but they're just like, oh, nice to meet you and all that and stuff. It's like, even though he killed them. All right. Anyway, so that is An American Werewolf in London. All right. All right, moving on. We have got the original The Evil Dead. And this is written and directed by Sam Raimi. It stars Bruce Campbell, Ellen Sandoval, and Betsy Baker. Okay, so what is Evil Dead about? Evil Dead is about a group of friends that go to this cabin in the woods for a good time and everything, and they find this ugly book, the Necronomicon, and they go through it and they read from it, and when they read from it, it summons this spirit, this entity, this demonic force, and next thing you know, all the people, Bruce Campbell plays Ash, and next thing you know, Ash's friends are becoming these horrible demon-like creatures or demonic creatures, and the only way that you can kill them is pretty much by total dismemberment. So Ash, for all intents and purposes, you've heard of the final girl. Ash is the final boy. That is what Ash is. And, of course, you know, the Evil Dead series, was just the very beginning. This movie is just so much fun, and I don't think I have ever been disappointed in an Evil Dead movie. I love these movies. And I'm going to talk about the remake because a lot of people have crapped on the remake. I love the remake. It was a different approach to the film, to the story, but I actually love the remake because it is just so intense and so balls to the wall gory. It's just a ton. I enjoyed the hell out of it too. But anyway, we're talking about the original films. I have never been disappointed by one. I don't know if they're going to make any more. I'm not sure about that. But Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness. I love Army of Darkness. And then of course Ash vs. Evil Dead, the series, which is highly entertaining. You know, check it out. Alright, it's on Netflix. Anyway, that is the Evil Dead. Okay? Alright, so now I said that I've seen all the movies on this list. That doesn't mean I've seen all of them a bunch of times. In fact, I only saw this one once. I'm not sure if it's available anywhere. I may have to rewatch it because I remember it was freaking weird. Very kind of strange. Alright, but this is Fear No Evil. Alright, so this is written and directed by Frank LaLoggia. It stars Stefan Arngrim, Elizabeth Hoffman, and Kathleen Rowe McCallum. So what it is about is this kid named Andrew. He's pretty much your normal high school kid, you know, except he's bullied. And he's a little bit off. Well, it turns out that Andrew is transforming or transitioning into being the Antichrist. Okay? So, now that being said, the two lead female actors, it turns out that they are the incarnation of the angels Michael and Gabriel. However, in this, because they're female, they are Michael and Gabrielle, I believe. And it is their job to stop Andrew before he can fully come to power. Okay, so there's a lot of demonic shenanigans going on. If I remember right, there's a pretty good bit of gore. It's not a slasher movie. It's a demonic film or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, like I said, I saw this in 1981. I have not seen it since. I actually, unless I go searching for it for like horror movies and stuff, I never hear anybody even talk about it. But that's pretty much what Fear No Evil is about. Now, the one thing about this movie, the controversy about this, is that the actor that played Andrew, Stefan Arngrim, he is the brother. Now, if you've ever seen Little House on the Prairie and the little girl Nellie, played by Alison Arngrim, she claims that when they were children, he was doing things to her that brothers should not do, and it continued over the years. And I don't even think he's acting anymore. I haven't heard anything about him, but as far as I know, he's not even acting anymore. Alright, but yeah, that is Fear No Evil with a little bit of controversial news thrown in for you. Alright? Okay. And last but not least, we have our final werewolf film of 1981 on the list, and I am talking about The Howling. Alright? This is directed by Joe Dante. The screenplay is by John Sayles and Terrence H. Winkless. It is based, LOL, and I'll tell you why I say LOL, on the novel by Gary Brandner. The reason I say LOL is because it is so loosely based on the novel by Gary Brandner. The only thing it has in common with the novel are the werewolves, okay? In fact, Gary Brandner himself said that he went to see the movie and he's like, there is nothing of my book in this movie, you know, of course, except for the werewolves, alright? So what this movie's about, it stars Dee Wallace, Dennis Dugan, and Belinda Bulaski, and the late Christopher Stone, who was the wife, or excuse me, the husband of Dee Wallace, okay? So what it's about is this reporter, played by Dee Wallace, and she is investigating the serial killer, and while she's investigating him, she is attacked, and it kind of messes with her head. So she is sent by her psychiatrist or shrink or whatever you want to call him to this place that he recommends called the Colony. It is where people go to unwind. It is where people go to find themselves and all that stuff. And the only thing about it is, it turns out that the Colony is pretty much a haven for werewolves, okay? I mean, other than her husband and other than herself, the entire community in this town is werewolves, and she comes to find that out comes to find it out the hard way. Now, there's kind of controversy about which film was better, An American Werewolf in London or The Howling. I have always been a bigger fan of The Howling than I am of An American Werewolf in London. I think pretty much because the first one I saw An American Werewolf in London later. I got a hair on my nose or something there. Get off of me. How do I have a hair on my nose? I don't know. But anyway, I personally think the transformation scene in The Howling is just spectacular. I never get tired of seeing it. And the fact that, and also with American Werewolf in London, the fact that both movies, there is no CGI in these movies. It is all done by practical effects, and it is absolutely fantastic. When I first went to see The Howling, I knew it was going to be a werewolf movie, and I just expected it to be like The Wolfman, where, you know, you show the Lon Chaney, you see his face, and you see a little bit of hair, a little bit of hair, a little bit of hair, teeth, and everything else. Very slow dissolves and things like that. And that was not the case, and I was just blown away, and I'm still blown away by the effects in this film. And of course, the makeup is by Rob Bottin, who also went on to do the makeup effects for John Carpenter's The Thing. Okay? So yeah, that is why I love The Howling so much, and why it is always going to remain my favorite werewolf movie of all time. Okay? Alright, so that's going to do it. That is 5 horror films for the year 1981. My name is John. This has been Cinema Blood for all intents and purposes. Take care and take care and stay scared. Bye-bye.